everyone, welcome to today's video. I'm Lisa from Down to Earth Gardening and Design, and today we're talking about some top garden and yard design tips for new homeowners. So I thought it would be a wonderful time to do this video because we have just purchased a little home down in Florida. I'm in zone 10A down here now, and I'm still going back and forth between here and Connecticut because, as you know, I have my grandkids and family in both places, and I have the business in Connecticut and family and clients that I love and lots of gardens. So I will be there most of the time, but I'm loving this and learning a lot about this. So I do provide consultation services, and one of the most popular times I do that is when a client buys a new home. So when you buy a new home, you're inheriting a yard and some gardens, and a lot of times they're overgrown or they're just not what you want. You want to be able to personalize it. And I highly recommend, before you go out and shop for some new things, and I personally know that's really tough, to just clean up what you have and work with that for a little bit and create a plan. So I'm going to tell you my 3 top tips of how I go about that, and I just went through this with my own home here, so I thought it would be a great time to do this video. Okay, so first tip is to assess what you have. So that is really important, and what I do when I'm assessing things is I'm looking at the plants, shrubs, and trees that are already here. I'm identifying them, getting familiar with them, and I'm looking at the sun orientation. I'm looking at the soil, but the most important factor in doing that is looking at the health and safety of things. So I need to bring it to the backyard because that was something that was really unsafe, and there's a tree back there that was getting way too close to the house. So I want to bring you back there and I want to talk more about that. Okay, so we're in the backyard. It's very small, but what you do see is this very large live oak in the corner here. And it's been about 6 months since we had it cleaned up. So I'm going to show you some little video clips of what we walked into and what the backyard looked like. We basically had about 5 or 6 inches of leaves that covered the backyard here. And the limbs were so low that it was very hard to even walk under them. So mowing, walking under, and also they were sitting on the roof. So the roof was covered. So safety is really important, especially when it comes to trees. And I also wanted to just clear the yard, get a little bit of sunlight in here, and move the limbs up and away from the house so that everybody and everything was safe. But what I will tell you is that the live oak is a treasured and protected tree in Florida. And remember when I said get to know your plants, get to know what you have? After doing a little initial research, I found that they are protected. And in fact, the local governments and local towns down here have an application process where you have to apply for a permit to trim up or do anything to your live oak. So then you need to contact a certified arborist and have them do the work on the tree. So it was quite the education process for me, but in talking to the knowledgeable arborist, which was fantastic, it turned out that they had done maintenance previously on this particular tree. So it was pretty great that I happened to stumble across them. But what they called it back here was deferred maintenance, and it certainly was. So it's really important for the health and longevity of the tree also to take proper care of it, and they did a wonderful job lifting it and pruning it properly. Now, the live oak is a very important species to Florida because it provides shade, much needed, wind protection, and it's also a habitat to lots of other wildlife and a host to lots of important plants, and also a food source with all of its acorns. But if you think that you're leaving New England and getting away from doing some leaf cleanup, you're not. So you can see now that it's shedding a little bit. They do shed in the spring quite a bit, but then they will continue a little bit here and there throughout the rest of the year. So when they were pruning the tree, I did ask them if they could leave a little bit of a limb so I could have a swing in the backyard for the grandkids. So just a little aside that it really pays to talk to them. You can learn a lot and talk a little bit about what your goals are for the yard too, so they can help you with that. But cleaning this up back here was a huge priority because we do have a lanai back here. So I was thinking about how we were going to be using the space, sitting back here, looking at the backyard. And also cleaning up the fence line a little bit, just getting that in order. I do feel really happy about the fact that my neighbors are such great gardeners and I'm getting to enjoy some of these flowers back here. So there's a beautiful angel's trumpet flower that blooms back here that I get to enjoy and I don't have to care for. So we did clean this up a little bit, rake, and we're probably going to be ready for the next stage. But like I said, safety, assessing, cleaning up, was first priority. Okay, so that leads me right into tip number 2, which is think about the goals for your yard. So it's a great time to start thinking about what spaces you're going to use the most. And I just mentioned the lanai is going to be one of them. I'm really looking forward to having that screened in space back there. So cleaning this up back here is actually twofold because now I can start to think about what I'm looking at from there and how we're going to use this space. Maybe thinking about a little patio. We have an outdoor shower project going on. So there's going to be lots more to come on that. But I want to bring you to the front yard to show you some more of my goals out there so you can see what I'm thinking about. Okay, I'm back in the front of the yard. And tip number 2 involves thinking about how you want to use your spaces, your outdoor space, what your goals are, and included is that is we're thinking about maintenance, how much time we have for maintenance, if there's irrigation here, watering and whatnot. But you actually couldn't even really see the front of the house when we purchased it. And it really is a cute little house with a really cute screened in front porch. So when the arborist was here, we talked about some other trees on the property, and you can see the remnants of another tree that was here that we did have removed. And what that was a laurel oak. So a very tall tree. It does not have much of a canopy. It grows very straight, tall, and I think up to 40 feet. So the laurel oak that was here not only blocked the view of the house and really took away from the curb appeal, but it is a severe allergen. So we decided to get rid of that. We had the stump ground out and cleared this up instantly. So we also had some podocarpus that were planted right up against the front of this screen porch here, and it was blocking the view of the house, but it was also really obstructing what we could see from this cute little screened in porch in the front here. So really nice opportunity to sit here and have your coffee, your wine, whatnot, and visit with the neighbors that are walking by. So a really fun little spot, and the podocarpus were planted very close and they do get quite large. So we decided to try to reuse those, and there's going to be a little more to come on that, and just transplant them over to continue a hedge on the side of the house. There's already 4 there, 3 or 4, and so we decided instead of throwing them out to try to replant them and continue a hedge. So just clear this right out, and boy did it open the house up. So I'm so happy with those decisions, and I think that that's really important to think about the goals of what spaces you're going to be using and what you want for your new home. Okay, so we're back in the front of the house, and that brings me to tip number 3, which is clean it up and try to use what you have. So that is a great starting point, is using what you have. If it's healthy and you love it, then why not just start there? So one of my goals is to really have this house be pretty low maintenance. And I really wanted a lot of the debris and the ground covers and the plantings moved away from the house. And I do think that a lot of these things here are actually going to do better now that the trees have been properly pruned and limbed up a little bit, and that one tree is gone from the front yard. So I just want to get it cleaned up so I have a great starting point, because you all know I've got some big plans out here. So using what we have this Dracaena here, which is really cute. Normally this would be a house plant for me in Connecticut. And these really pretty dwarf palm trees, which I really wanted to feature. I think they look really pretty in front of the house here. So those were a definite keep. But we also had some liriope that was really hidden and mixed in the back. So what we did is we took some clumps and we lined the front of the garden. So I'm not sure if this is going to be temporary or permanent, but what I will say about monkey grass, lily turf, it's also called, is that it is pretty much bulletproof. And that's what I need for right now. It's a really nice, hardy, evergreen perennial that does throw out a purple blue flower in the summertime. And it can be a little aggressive. It makes a fantastic low maintenance plant, or also a ground cover. It helps with erosion. So it is a nice little plant if it's used in the right way. But what we've done is we've taken some clumps, and we don't need to buy any more, because if we want more, we can also divide it, and dividing it will also help keep it smaller. But we used some landscaping cloth, doubled it up here, and put some stone on top of it just to keep it really tidy. So now you all may know that I'm not a big fan of landscape cloth. The weeds do come right up through it, and then it's harder to get the roots of the weeds. However, for this purpose of putting it under stone, I don't mind it. I can still see a few little weeds popping up, but it sure is helping to keep this area tidy and clean. So I also wanted everything away from the house. But when you do use stone as a ground cover or as mulch, you really need something to separate the stone from the grass or the rest of the yard. You don't want them mixed together. So just as a temporary solution, we use some plastic edging. I'm also not a fan of it, but it is inexpensive and it's going to work for now. I painted out a nice curve just to give this house a little more curb appeal. It really softens it up a little bit. And then eventually we'll probably put some pavers in after we decide what we're going to do with the front of the yard, the driveway, and whatnot. But see how I'm already thinking about some future goals, and that is really important, and that falls under number 2, is keep those goals in mind. So where you're going with your plan, and have a plan so you're not really spending unnecessary money. So by using what you have and then using some cheaper things like the edging, and I have just some fun little solar lights out here, I'm really keeping the budget down and being mindful about how I'm spending my money now, so that I can put a little more money into some really pretty future things. So you can also see that I uncovered a pathway here. I had some fun doing that. I'm not sure if we're going to keep that either, but for now it leads you to another gate we have over here. We have lots of work to do around the house. So as you all may be experiencing, if you're a new homeowner, there's lots of ways you can spend your money, and I really just needed to get this yard in shape, cleaned up, low maintenance, and safe for now, so we could do some things on the inside that really needed to be done. But you're going to see lots more videos in this yard in the future, and I'm really excited about that. And I hope I've given you all some helpful tips. I was going to say hopeful and helpful tips in purchasing your new home and getting your landscaping gardens to where you want them to be. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed doing this video for you, and I have lots more videos coming your way, so be sure to subscribe to our channel.